welcome to the floor. Almost were there. Try not to do so much of that. I am so happy 2022 is on its way out. It's 9:30 p.m. December 31st. Done with every single electronic device that I own. They're all out to get me, and they started it. I was gonna say, like, you don't want to hear this, but it's my video, and I want to talk about it. I'm so upset, literally. I was like, oh, it'll be nice. First of all, my webcam on my laptop doesn't work at all. It's possessed, but then I try and film it with another camera, and it magically decides to work, and then the second I turn it off, it does its thing, and it breaks again. It's frustrating. And then I bought an external microphone because I wanted better audio. It didn't work. I returned it. I got a different one. That one also doesn't work. All of my devices, I tried like 6 different ones. So it's just been like, I've been trying to film this video for like 3 days now. And I've just been like troubleshooting and nothing works. And so now, I'm sitting on the floor in my pajamas, filming this on my iPad from 2014. And that's the way it's gonna be. In the original version, I was like wearing no clothes, I curled my hair, and I was gonna be a microphone and have a little real camera. No, this has been significantly downgraded, and it wasn't even my fault. My electronics were the one that didn't want to put in the effort. That's why my hair looks so horrible now. It's because it's like fallen out matted curls from like the hairspray. But anyway, my favorite books of the year. Oh my god. So exciting. I really want water. You don't. I don't want to edit this. Don't look. Okay. Oh my god, my legs look like 9,000 miles long. Why did I do that? Sometimes I'm worried I have type 1 diabetes or something. Maybe type 2. I don't know, whichever one makes you really thirsty. Because I drink like over a gallon of water a day, and I'm still like ridiculously thirsty all the time. And itchy, apparently. My skin is just so dry. My whole body is dry. Sometimes I think I'm an amphibian. But I don't think that's possible. Anyway, now that we've all suffered through that, my favorite books. So it's the top 5 with 2 runner-ups that are in order. So like a top 7, but not really because I said it was a top 5. Sorry, I need to like pep up. Like, this is supposed to be like a good video, like a happy one. It's my favorite books of the whole year. My least favorite video of the year to film, but my favorite books of the year. I like how I say my least favorite video to film is if I filmed literally any other video this entire year. So I'm gonna film another one after this, just like 10 seconds, so I can say it was my least favorite to film. No, I filmed one other one, like at the beginning of the year, and that one was actually pretty fun to film. So this one's my least favorite. Like the other one, way down here. I've literally been filming for 5 minutes. I haven't talked about sorry, I have notes here. I need to read them because I like basically scripted this. Actually, no, I didn't. This is all off the top of my head, and I'm a great public speaker. Okay. This, should I be holding it? Probably, right? If you can't tell, I'm a little out of practice. As if I was ever in practice with this. Let's see, how this is a young adult book about a teenage boy. I can't with this. I wrote this all last night. I wrote in like really dumb jokes. I was feeling myself in a way that I am not now when I wrote this. Okay. 5th time I'm doing this. We're serious. We're very serious right now. So, this is a young adult book about a boy named Darius. His title suggests he's not doing so great. Oh wait, he's not okay. He is great at it. You get it. You get the idea. He's really struggling with like so many things. Like his ethnicity is a big one, his sexuality, his just general self-confidence, his mental health. Really, like, any issue a teenager could possibly be going through, just like assume Darius is having that problem, because he probably is. And then really just make his life even better, he finds out his grandfather who lives in Iran, because Darius is half Iranian. His grandfather is passing away, he's really sick. And so his family goes to Iran for a very long time, and then obviously Darius has very mixed feelings about this because he feels very disconnected from his Iranian culture. He already feels like an outsider at home, so it brings a lot of fear to him. He's like, I'm gonna go to Iran, I'm gonna feel like even more of an outsider because he has kind of an imposter syndrome when it comes to his Iranian heritage. So, in this trip to Iran, it's kind of a coming-of-age novel where he becomes more comfortable with himself and a lot of aspects of himself through this trip to Iran. That's my summary. So, what I thought about the book, I mean, obviously it's like my 7th favorite book of the year, right? So I liked it. It's just so beautiful. Like, okay, a lot of the things he talks about, like I said, they're like very relatable things. Like, they're things a lot of teenagers go through. So it's like it reminded me of like my younger teenage self, and I was really like, I really liked it at the time because I really related to it. Like, I really got Darius, like, you know what I mean? Like, especially his struggle with like his culture and kind of feeling like an outsider and like he like doesn't really belong and like he's an imposter. Because I also, on my mother's side, am only half of a culture, and so I also didn't grow, because he doesn't grow up around a lot of Iranian people, and I also didn't grow up around a lot of like Jewish people, and so I feel like I am technically, right, like people on the outside see me that way, but I don't have confidence in like my knowledge of the culture or that kind of thing. So I don't know, like it's just like that feeling, and then like mental health and sexuality, like it's in this book, and then his like relationship with his family, and it's just like such a good coming of age story. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's what a coming of age story should be, and it's reason number 7 though is because like I'm saying all these things, I don't remember any of the things I'm feeling. Like, the way I did this video is like I scrolled through my like Goodreads and looked at the ones as this year that I gave 5 stars, and like I saw I gave this 5 stars, and I was like, I gave that 5 stars? Like when I really thought about, like, I remember I really loved this book right after I read it like a couple months ago, but it just didn't stick with me, which is very strange because I was like really touched by it in the moment, but it just like, you know what I mean, like it didn't leave an impact. It just like was really beautiful, and then it was gone, which is like, I don't know, which is atypical. Usually I remember books fairly well, so I don't know. Anyway, I guess I have to cut it because how do you do a transition from one book to another in a video? It just seems so unnatural, right? I don't know. But number 6, our first runner-up, the one that just missed the cut. I think I've seen this on like actually quite a few people's lists. Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. Summary, let's see. It's a domestic thriller about, it's a domestic thriller about a woman who goes missing with her daughter right after another woman went missing in this like small neighborhood community. And then eventually, like 11 years later, after all of these women mysteriously go missing, the daughter who went missing just like appears and is found and turns up. And so it's basically kind of like what happened in that situation. It's not so good. Seriously. So the actual like timeline, I don't know what to say beyond like this is just like a really good thriller. Like, I kind of read this like right after like a whole bunch of like dud thrillers, if that makes sense. Like I'd read a series of thrillers that were all like kind of bad to mediocre, and so then I read this one and it was the first one in a while, so I was like, oh my god, it felt so amazing, especially in comparison, and it's just so good. Like it walks that like very thin line that I think is like what the ideal thriller should do, which is like it's just crazy enough that like you're like shocked and surprised all the time, but it's not so crazy that it like feels stupid and implausible. You know what I mean? It's just like it walks that really narrow line perfectly, because everything that happens is so shocking, but at the same time it makes sense. Like, and that's so it's so good when you read a thriller that does that. I love it. But like the way it's like told also was really interesting, where I've seen some thrillers do this before, I think, but it's not the most common. It's not told in like Gillian Flynn does that, not Gillian Flynn does that a little bit, I think, in one of her books, maybe Dark Places. I don't remember. I read her books a really long time ago. But it like jumps around from time period to time period, and each time period has a different narrator or a different character who's narrating it. So it's from a different character's perspective in every time period, which is really cool. So you have like the mother who went missing, her husband, her son who didn't go missing, the neighbors. There's like there's one or two others maybe, but they all have different time period. Like they all narrate in a different time period, which I think was really great because it makes it easier. It jumps around from time to time, from person to person, but having like the time period attached to the person, I think was really great because it helped with the keeping track of like who's talking and what's happening at that point in time, because there's, you know, they're matched and they align, so it's easier to tell as the reader, which was really great. I missed, but I think that's it. It's just number 6 because, like, I mean, like, the other books were better. Like, this is just entertaining. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, it was fun to read, and I would highly recommend that you read it. But will it give you anything beyond a good time for the moment you're reading it? Probably not. But it's fun, you know? So, I liked it. Like, it's a thriller. My laptop just turned off after I hit it with my giant water bottle. It woke up though, it's good. She recovered. Just need a little breather for a moment. Anyway, on to, I'm gonna say item number 5, and you're gonna see why in a second. Because item number 5 is an entire series. It's the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. I did the whole series because, first of all of these books on their own were 4 stars, but together, as a whole series, they make up 5 stars. You know what I mean? That was such an annoying, okay, sorry. Oh. Sorry, the physical pain of, like, my existence. Okay. Anyway, my brain, like, series, once I read another one, it just gets categorized, like, the books are no longer differentiated in my memory, or, like, my feeling. Like, it's just one giant book. So, like, I couldn't, you know, like, I find it very hard to mentally separate books in a series, like, plot-wise, opinion-wise, vibe-wise, anything-wise. I don't know. Like, I can only have the mental capacity to have an opinion on a series as a whole, not, like, individual books. That's too much. But anyway, the Red Queen series, I just really fucking loved it. Okay, I should give a summary that everyone probably knows, like, in case you live under a rock. Basically, it's a dystopian, young adult dystopian, like, from young adult dystopian prime, like, 2014 is when it was published, I think. About, basically, it takes place in this world where people, due to nuclear energy or something, whatever, have evolved, but not everyone, right? So the people who evolved are silvers, and they have, like, magic powers, and their blood is silver, hence the name. But then, like, the people who haven't evolved, the reds, are just, like, normal people like you and me. And so then, the evolved people, the silvers, are, like, kind of malevolent, like, not very generous rulers. And they rule over all the reds, who are, like, a peasant class. And so then, the whole series starts, basically, when the whole world finds out that there's this one girl with red blood who has silver powers. But then her powers are actually stronger than the silver one. So it's kind of like, it basically is like a match to this, like, very unstable political situation, and then the whole series goes from there. Okay. Like, if someone were to honestly ask me, like, Susan, objectively, is this a good book? I feel like I could not say yes, it could be. Like, it's good, but, like, is the writing particularly good? Is the pacing particularly good? Like, all of the, like, general items on, like, a checklist for, like, objective quality of a book, as much as you can have, I feel like this does not have. But in my heart, it belongs here. And I feel like it would be disingenuous to myself to not have it on this list. I loved this book, and the way I haven't loved the book or a series in so long. I just, like, it was like Twilight Fever, Fault in Our Stars, Hunger Games, Divergent era, like, fangirling. Like, I was obsessed with these books and these characters and this world. The, like, first one especially is not that great. But, like, the library happened to have all the audiobooks, and I was at work, and so I was like, oh, I'll read the second one, whatever. It's just, like, once you get halfway through the second one, like, her writing gets so, like, exponentially better with each book. Like, you can see her growing as an author. And then, like, the world building is so expanded on, and by the time you're done with the series, like, the world building and the characters, like, I'm just so attached to them. And I think they're so amazing. And it's so, like, it took a while to get there, but once you get to the end, everything is like so amazing and so developed. So like, especially like the first one, like it's got a rough start. It was her debut, but like I'm so excited to read like her new series, like Realmbreaker, and Bladebreaker. That's like a tongue twister there, because like if her writing is getting exponentially better in those, like I said, it just gets getting better in each book. So then these are the books that come after this, like timeline wise, for Victoria Aveyard as an author. And so I'm so excited to see how they are when like she doesn't have to like go back and fix like some of the like gaps in her older writing like she did with this series, if that makes sense. Like, because it started off strong, unlike this, but I still love the concept and I love the world. It's just like I'm obsessed. Like, it was so fun to feel that way about a book. I haven't felt the way about a book in so long. Even the books I used to be obsessed with, like, I was kind of like, oh, maybe I just, like, outgrew that. I didn't. I just needed Red Queen in my life. It's just, like, so much joy was brought from this series. It's so great. I still think about it. Like, I like looking at fan art, like fan fiction, and it's like that type of obsession that I haven't had since like high school. Oh my god. But anyway, number 4. By the way, I feel weird because these are my 2022 favorites, but I don't think any of these books were released in 2022. Mostly just because, like, I do a majority of my reading, like, from the library or books I got used. And so that method of getting books does not lend itself to reading new releases. So, like, I'm watching other people's videos, and I feel like everyone is talking about new releases, but, like, I don't have that kind of, like, lifestyle, you know? I'm not bougie. Not everyone gets to read new releases. Anyway. Speaking of something I was late to the game on, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This was also the most shocking book of the year, because the reason I put off reading this book for so long, it came out in 2017 and was like the shit for so many years after, right? Oh God, there's so many reviews. Come on, I just want to see when it was released. This is 34th printing, 2017. I was right, but I'm just like, I don't think I'll like that. I was like dead set on the idea that I didn't think I would like it for some reason. I guess it's like technically like it's not really a genre up until recently that I would have reached for very often. It's like adult fiction, realistic fiction. As I call it. But let's see. But I was pleasantly surprised. Obviously, it's number 4. It was good. Everyone was right. But do we even need a summary? It's about a woman named Evelyn Hugo. Technically, it's also supposed to be about Monique Grant, who is like a reporter. She's a journalist, but she's like very up and coming. AKA, she's really not that successful. Like, she's not very famous. Then Evelyn Hugo, who's like this Marilyn Monroe type sex symbol, celebrity, super famous character from like a very similar period of time, contacts her and she's like, I want you to publish my autobiography. I'm gonna like do a tell-all for the first time in my life, and you're gonna be the one to get the story. And of course Monique is like, I'm honored, but what the fuck? Why me? And then she's like, you'll find out. And that's the book. So she's telling Monique her life story, and that's the book is basically Monique recording it with random other inserts of Monique's life. And then throughout the book you're kind of finding out like a lot about Evelyn and like her life, and it's kind of like that's the one thing I liked about it, is it reads like a thriller. I think that's why I liked it. It's like I said, it doesn't read like adult fiction. It reads like a thriller, which is like so cool. I think that's why everyone likes this also, because it's like there's a mystery that's trying to be solved, which is like why what happened with Evelyn's life? Why did she have 7 husbands? B, why did she pick Monique to write her autobiography? I'm trying to see if there's anything I'm missing, but like I think I don't know. Oh, it's also like obviously it has like a historical aspect because it takes place predominantly like from like maybe the 1950s to like the 90s up to present, but mostly like Evelyn's life was there. Let's see. It's just like really I don't know, like it. The one thing you see this more in TV than in books, I think, or at least I do. Well, like sometimes historical romance, it's like not really necessary, but like I feel like something that has a historical setting, there has to be like a purpose behind that setting. Like in this book, it would not have had the same impact if it had taken place in a different time period. Like the problems that the characters in this book face are reflective of like societal issues during that time, if that makes sense. So the two periods go together very well. Like the story and the time period go together very well, and they complement each other, and it actually, helps. They boost each other's like quality and like that kind of thing. That's not a good way to phrase that, but you know what I mean. But like, I hate to say it, but for example, like Stranger Things, maybe I just haven't watched enough of it, but like, what does that taking place in the 80s have to do with anything besides like everyone is wearing cool clothes and like it's trendy, I don't know, like, I feel like good historical fiction, like the period, this plot itself is reflective of the period it's in, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean. Like, it would be weird if you were reading a book that takes place in, like, I don't know, ancient Greece, and the main character's main issue is, like, family drama. Like, like, him and his dad don't get along. And, like, the main issue of the story is, like, he maybe has, like, some mental illness, and his family is, his dad's abusive and, like, an alcoholic or something. Like, I'm creating, like, a very vivid picture here, I know. But, like, why does that have to take place in ancient Greece? Why? Like, that'd be weird. Like, I don't want historical fiction like that. You have to align. Like, maybe there's class issues. Ancient Greece had major issues with, like, class stuff. That was, like, a big talking point. Power struggles, war, disease. Like, there are so many issues that are unique to that period. Like, I just feel like, realistically, like, that wouldn't have been that character's main issue. Like, why is it necessary to have added that aspect to the book? Like, I don't want the period to be cluttering the main theme of the story, and this doesn't do that. It's perfect. Like, the issues even, like, change as the period changes, which is kind of cool. So, a little bit. I mean, there's, like, some overarching ones, but those are overarching issues from all the periods. So, but, like, as the periods change as she ages, and like cultural norms change, like the issues she's facing, which is really cool. You know, like it's just fun. It was really good. The reason I didn't place it higher is because I think I've alluded to this at this point. But like Monique, I had to look up her name. I don't know who she is. Like Monique, just even need to be there. This book could be Evelyn's story without Monique, and it would like only slightly like lose some of its value. Like it really, she's barely there. Like she's basically just sitting there as like a passive listener to Evelyn's story the entire time. She adds nothing. She has her own mini subplot that like no one cared about. If you say you cared about Monique's subplot, you're lying. No one cared about that. It's just like, you literally, like, she's such a non-existent character. You're supposed to be the main character. The whole story's from her perspective. Like, you could have replaced Monique with, like, any other character from any story, and it wouldn't have changed anything. Like, you could have probably replaced her with, like, the main character in this book. And I'm trying to think, I don't see how it would have changed the story beyond, like, maybe, like, the tiniest bit in the scenes no one cared about. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, she was kind of not there. I don't know. But otherwise, like, Evelyn and all the other characters are great. I just don't think, I would have liked to see Monique fleshed out a lot more than she was in this book, to the point where she feels like an actual character in the story and not just like a passive like skin suits that the reader can like self-insert themselves into the story. You know what I mean? Number 3, right? Oh my god, I'm already tired of this video. We're gonna speed things up. It's 34 minutes long. We're moving. The Poppy War by R. Kuang. I said we're moving on, but I love this book so much. It's like, I literally okay. This is an adult fantasy novel about a girl. Oh my god, I need to stop drinking water. But a girl named Rin, who lives in kind of like a Qing Dynasty era China, but like a fantasy version of it called Nikan. Yeah. And she is an orphan who is adopted by a family who lives in like rural southern China, rural southern Nikan, to like be free labor in their business. And eventually they like basically decide they're going to sell her to a really rich old man in the town as like a child bride. Okay, so you're seeing where this book is going, because this is like 1% on the list of the most fucked up things that happen in this book, let alone this series, is that she's being married off as a child bride for money as a slave. But to avoid this, basically there's like an aptitude test that you could take, and then based on your results of that test you can possibly qualify to go to like certain academies. And like the best one, the like Harvard of this world, is called Sinigard, and it's a military academy. And so Rin decides that she's going to take the aptitude test to get into Sinigard so that she can escape this marriage. And she only has a year to prepare, which is like insane, because usually people spend their entire life preparing for this, and they'll like pay for super expensive tutors and books, and you have to memorize like, it's like 1,000 books or something ridiculous like that of like poems and stories and that kind of thing. Like, it's like insane. And so there's a book, obviously, so she does it, and she's crazy. As you find out, Ren is losing her goddamn mind all the time. She's just lost it. It was never there to begin with. She's gone. And only losing more throughout the series, which is what makes it so fun. But anyway, there's so much that happens after. This book is insanely fast-paced, which is what makes it so awesome. There's, like, also, there's, like, an enemies to lovers to enemies to lovers to kind of friends, back to enemies to, like, super enemies to, like, friends to lovers, maybe to enemies type relationship. You know what I mean? Like, they're back and forth all the time. But I guess like this book is just like addictive. Like, it's the kind of thing where, like, as you're reading, it's like, okay, I'm reading. I'm gonna look for a good, like, lull in the plot that's like a nice stopping point to, like, put it down. There never is one. It just keeps going and speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. And you're like, it can't possibly, like, can't get worse. And then it somehow gets worse and, like, something else happens. It just never stops. Like, the pace of this book is insane. Like, everything I told you about in that intro happens in the first, like, 25 pages. And this book is, like, 500 pages long. Literally, to give you an idea of the pace, Rin, at this, like, 4 or 5 year academy, by the end of the book, she's done. She's graduated. Gone. We've moved on. Sinigard who? We don't know her. Like, it's insane. Like, literally, it's so much happens, and it's crazy. Like, I don't know. I literally also, like, book is just so, oh my god. R.F. Kuang is, like, genius. Like, I don't know how to say it. Like, I've taken a couple, like, Chinese language and history classes in college, so I have, like, a first grade understanding of Chinese history. And the way that, like, R.F. Kuang in this, like, fantasy version of China manages to, like, it's so cool. I don't know how to describe it. Like, she pulls from, like, real life historical events that happened in China, and then, like, uses an alternate version of them in the story. Like, I have to figure out how to write this in my notes because it's, like, so cool, and I don't want to, like, butcher it in my explanation of, like, what she's doing here because it's so amazing. So, like, Nikon's culture also mirrors China, and then there's the, like, events that are happening, and it's really, she, like, weaves them together in a way where it, like, at the same time is, like, this super fast-paced plot, whatever. She's also, like, providing a significant amount of commentary on, like, real-life Chinese history and culture through the book, and this, like, mirroring of events and culture. Like, for example, Rin in the book faces a lot of, like, colorism and just, like, regionalized racism. I don't know how to phrase it. Like, you have to understand, like, because she's from southern Nikon, and then, like, I'm gonna say southwestern China is kind of, like, faces a similar problem to southwestern Western China. Faces, like, a very similar problem to what, like, Rin faces, where it's kind of like how a lot of people in, like, New England and northern states maybe view the South a little bit as, like, a little bit like, oh, like, you're okay, pal, you know. It's a little bit like they look down on them, like they think they're better. So this book mirrors that also, like, that aspect of Chinese culture where it's like one group versus another, and one group considers themselves to be better, and it's like one is more rural and agricultural, southern versus western kind of thing. And then, like, that's something you see in China, in, like, real life China as well. And then, like, all the events, like, a lot of stuff that happens in the Opium Wars you see in this. Opium is like a huge problem in this book. Later on, you'll see like Western countries that come in and they allude to like things that happened in the past that happened in real life also. It's just like, it's, I don't know how she's doing so much at once. Like every single like sentence or plot device or thing that happens in this book like has like 4 different meanings. It's like commentating on China's culture and history, it's furthering the plot, it's entertaining, it's developing characters, it's developing like, I don't know how she does it. Like, she's got this insanely fast-paced plot, but at the same time, none of the characters are underdeveloped. If anything, they're like amazingly developed. The world is amazingly developed. There's like a beautiful commentary going on at the same time. Like, I don't. She's literally goddess mother. Like, I don't. How does someone do that? You know? Like, I don't. Honestly, this book could be number 1. At least 2. But the reason it's not 2 is just because, like, it comes back to my inability to, like, separate, like, books in a series. Because the second one has a major case of middle book syndrome. And, like, I hate to say it, but, like, it did kind of, like, taint this one a little bit. Just, like, the tiniest bit. Because it was just, like, so, the pacing of it was just so off. Like, I don't know. It was kind of disappointing. This one, though, a literal masterpiece. Like, I don't know how something this perfect could exist. You got the second one. I think not as good. Number 2, which I think will be controversial, and I like don't know how to describe it, but it's my truth, and I'm gonna say it. You know. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires was my second favorite book of the year by Grady Hendrix. This is another book that I really did not think I was gonna like at all. I don't remember why I bought it. I think it was like on sale at Target. And I didn't know what it was. Truly, I do not know why I bought this book, because I did not think I was going to like it. I don't know, but I'm glad I did. It was fate stepping in, because this book was literally amazing. It was so good. It's just like, oh, I know why I did it. Because I was in like a major vampire phase. And like I had went out of like good, like paranormal romance vampire books. So I was like, this one isn't paranormal romance, but it like has vampires, so that's why I bought it. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I was like desperate. But like, I'm sorry, she was just so good. Like, I don't. Okay. So, I'll give you a summary. Besides just like repeating that this book was so good over and over again. It's a story about like, I don't know how to describe it, but like a stay-at-home mom named Patricia, who her and her friends are all part of like a book club where they read like horror, thriller, mystery, fantasy books, that kind of thing. And so, right about the same time, like, basically, you know, she's living her life. She kind of doesn't like being a stay-at-home mom. It's like an underlying plot of this, that it's like not the most fitting lifestyle for her. Like, she kind of feels very bored and that kind of thing. And so, randomly she's like attacked by this like really old woman who lives across the street in the middle of the night, like viciously. Like, this woman is like possessed. And so then they find out like a couple of days later that this woman is dead suddenly, and then like someone who's claiming to be her like nephew has like moved in, but he's really weird, like real off. And so she goes over to investigate and like kind of see what's going on with this weird guy. And it turns out he's like really nice actually, you know, like at least as far as she could tell. But then like all of this weird shit is continuing to happen, and it feels like it's centering around him, but then he's such a great guy, and then she's very confused. She's trying to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, like the situation is just like it keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. Yes. And so her and her friends are trying to like figure out what's happening with everything. And like, is it related to this guy? How is he related if he is? Like that kind of thing. Like what's happening? And so that's the plot. But I just like, it was just so fun to read. Like there's just so much happening, and it's just such a good horror book because it's like you're never bored. Like there's always something cool going on. There's always something you want to find out. Like I literally I could not put this book down. It was so addictive. I just wanted to know. I'm going to do it. But like I just wanted to know what was going on. You know, like it was so addictive. It was amazing. But like the main reason that it's number 2, and it wasn't just like, you know, like local news thing was amazing. It was fun to read. But the theme of this book, like, just really, it felt so relevant to the time and, like, my own emotions. Like, I've never been this emotionally involved in, like, a book and its characters and the plot and the story before. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, this book, like, perfectly, I say all this, and then it's just, like, I cannot wrap my head around the fact that this was written by a white man. But that's here nor there. Because it, like, perfectly encapsulates that feeling you get as, like, a woman, or just, like, generally marginalized group, but I don't know, it's, like, a woman. But, like, when you're saying something, and you know you're right, and you know what you're saying is real, but then, like, the people around you and the men don't believe you. And it's so obvious that they don't believe you and that they're just dismissing you. And that, like, frustration and helplessness of, like, why won't you listen to me? You know what I mean? Like, that feeling. Like, it's just, like, like, that's the main theme of this book, is, like, how men, especially, like, they're the main perpetrators. But, like, even then, like, there's also, like, the characters that are being ignored are also ignoring other people, because there's also a race aspect that's included with, like, a black community, and how that community is, like, being targeted. Because no one listened to them. Like, they say something's wrong, and then the police and all the other people in the community are just like, they just, like, ran away. They're fine. They're just on drugs. Kids do that. Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing weird going on. This is just how it is. Like, there's these problems that you see, and then everyone else is, like, pretending they don't see them. And then, like, they're pretending they don't see them. Because, like, in, like, this urge people have to, like, protect people they view as in their in-group. So kind of, like, you know, Supreme Court Justice, who, like, no one wanted to believe the one because he served a purpose for them. And, like, it would have looked bad if he looked bad because he's associated with them. So it's, like, that kind of, like, protection that shitty people gain by, like, developing connections with other people. And then how people prioritize, like, their own whatever over other people's by protecting these monsters that, like, live among them. But it's just, like, I don't know. It's, like, a perfect, like, emotional encapsulation of, like, that feeling of, like, frustration and anger and helplessness when you are purposefully and unpurposefully being ignored and dismissed by people. Like, I don't, like, I've never, like, reading this book was, like, so angry in a good way. Because it's, like, they would be, like, ignoring her. And, like, it's obviously, like, you're reading it, and you're, like, you know, because you're from her perspective, right? And you see her talking to people, and you just see, like, the mental toll it takes on her to have all these people she cares about and she loves just, like, not care about something that so obviously harms her, and they're, like, gaslighting her and thinking she's crazy. Amazing. Like, I just felt so lucky. So good. Okay. Number 1, The Big Kahuna. See if I can finish this in under an hour. Speed round. Number 1. Also a book that I picked up, and I was like, it was, all of my favorite books ended up being like random books that were available at the library that I was like, I have time, why not? And then they ended up being amazing. But Four Winds, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, was my favorite book of the year, which I was not expecting at all, because I read The Nightingale a while ago, and I kind of thought it was okay. Like, I didn't really like it that much. I think I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars. Which I also just have a soft spot for, like, books in World War II. So, like, 3 out of 5 stars for a World War II book, kind of low. By the way, like I mentioned, I'm Jewish, so I like books about World War II. I get that Jewish rap. I'm not, like, a weirdo like that. But, anyway, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna does not take place in World War II. It takes place in rural Texas during the Dust Bowl, which I think is super cool, and I did not know that when I picked it up. Because, like, that's such a weird time period to choose. It's, like, such a cool time period, as I know now, but it's so weird. Like, no one writes books about the, like, there are no popular books, but I feel like the books about the Dust Bowl, you know? Like, there's, World War II is, like, the biggest one, and then maybe, like, the 80s. What else is a big one that people like to do? The 20s. People love to write books about the 20s. Like, it's not one of those periods people pick, right? Like the Dust Bowl. Maybe it's because it's, like, also kind of, yeah. But, well, I guess this is the 20s, but, like, they pick, like, city 20s, not, like, Dust Bowl 20s. But, it was just so good. It's basically about, like, it all starts with this woman who lives in rural Texas, and she's from, like, a really wealthy, well-respected family, but she's, like, kind of the odd duckling in that family, and she's, like, really isolated, if that makes sense. Like, she was very sheltered, and so she just really wants to, like, her family is, like, kind of hides her away. Like, they're really weird about her. So eventually she starts, like, she sneaks out, and the entire book is this woman, she just wants to be loved. Like, she craves to be loved so much, and she just, like, I feel like that's common for a lot of women, right? Like, they want to feel wanted. Like, and that is her. Like, I think it's her family is so she just feels so unwanted. That's all she wants, and that everything she does is for that, like, to feel loved is, like, her main thing as a character. And so she meets this guy, and they have sex. She doesn't even know what's going on. He just calls it making love, and so she's like, that's what I want, you know? And eventually they meet up, and she gets pregnant. And then her family finds out, and they, like, disown her. They're like, you are nothing to us. And so then she ends up going, he's, like, poor and Italian, which in the 1920s was, like, not good, and Catholic. And so she has to go live with him, and they have, like, a shotgun wedding. And just so much, like, family tension and drama and that kind of thing ensues. Like, I don't know what else to say beyond that. Like, it's just, like, it's, like, it's just so good. Like, I don't know what to say. like, it's just so beautiful. Like, I read this entire book in, like, a single night. Like, I started it at, like, 8 p.m., finished it at, like, 4 a.m., sobbing. I was, like, sobbing uncontrollably at the end of this book for, like, an hour straight. You just get, like, all the characters feel like real people, and, like, when something happens to them, it's happening to me. Like, it's just, I cannot think of a single thing wrong with this book, which is, it's just so amazing. I don't know, like, I just love it so much. It just, like, spoke to me. Like, it made me want to, like, go home and tell my family I love them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, it talks so much about, like, love and how we express love and how it's so important and how it can affect us and, like, different kinds of love. And, like, it's just, like, so beautiful and, like, emotional and heartfelt. And, like, I don't know what to tell you beyond I want to cry just thinking about it. Like, it's so, I don't know. Like, it's just so perfect. Like, it's slow, but never, like, not boring, because you're with the characters, your people, you know? It's just amazing. Obviously, it's my favorite book of the year. Like, I just, like, it's stuck with me. It's, like, one of those things where it's, like, it literally, like, changed, like, me. Like, it, like, taught me, like, I was like, oh my god, maybe I, like, should do this. Like, I literally, like, learned something from the book. Like, I don't know, like, which, I could not recommend this enough. Like, it's, skip that and go read this one. That's what I'm saying. That's my final note. But, yeah, that was the end of the video. Just under an hour. Great. Yeah, hopefully 2023 is better. To be honest, it was kind of a mediocre reading year. So, fingers crossed. And, like, a really shitty year for me personally. I'm not going to go into that, though. We're just going to leave that really open-ended, cliffhangery, ominous statement.